Hello, my name's Ulis, and I'm going to run you through this presentation, which is aimed at Year 12, but could also be used with Year 13, and it's all about post-18 options. What are those options and which ones might suit you? And when we're doing the session, we'll be using the Career Pilot website. So research shows that whether you're young or old, you need a set of skills in order to manage your careers. And these are the 6 things that have been identified. And during this session, we'll touch on 4 of those. Growth throughout life is about planning your next steps into learning and work. Exploring the possibilities is having a clear direction of travel and having a plan for how you're going to get there. Managing careers is about managing that transition into your post-18 learning and getting ready for making that move. Creating opportunities is about being proactive in your career and thinking about your life, learning and future career direction. So we'll touch on some of these today. So we're going to talk specifically about what you're interested in and how that can be used to think about a future job or course. We'll look at the options in a bit of overview and then you'll have some time to explore them. If you're the teacher taking this video lesson, this is the structure: 20 minutes introduction and then about 30 minutes to explore and do particular tasks using Career Pilot, and then you need to bring students back for about 5 to 10 minutes at the end for the wrap up. So let's get started. So what drives you? What are your values? What fires you up? Have a look at the list here, and there might be others that we haven't put on this list, and think of 3 things that really fire you up. So if you're the teacher, you might want to pause this video for 2 minutes and give students an opportunity to have a think about 3 things that really fire them up and they're passionate about in their lives. Great, so hopefully you had a chance to think about that, and everybody will have different ones within the group, I should think. But the reason for doing that is to just show you that if you know what you're passionate about, that can be a great way to start thinking about a course or career. Because if you're passionate about something, you'd like to put more into it, and it could make you happier to be doing something that aligns with the things that are important to you in your life. On Career Pilot, we also have a video that explains why careers is important, a little animation that we designed with some Year 12 students, in fact. And what that video shows is that 4 things you can do right now to help you plan your future careers. And what we have in our video is that you need to know yourself, things like your values and your skills and your interests. You need to do stuff to build your CV and your skills so you can show the difference between you and somebody else. You need to know all your options so you can make an informed decision, and then use all the available support, the people and the resources that are going to help you make that decision. So we're going to go through some of these things. So in terms of know yourself, Career Pilot has a whole section about starting with you. And in that, it'll have activities that will help you know more about yourself. And today we're going to ask you to do these particular ones. Start with the subject, so it'll give you an idea of subjects you like and where they might take you. We've got information about values, so you can look at where the values might take you to. And then you could do the skills profile as well. So let me just show you what I mean. So start with the subject. 21 subjects, choose the ones you love, and then get ideas of jobs, degree courses, apprenticeships or vocational courses that you could do with that particular subject. Just give you ideas. Then we have our values on Career Pilot. If you are passionate about using creativity in your working life, it will give you ideas of jobs where you might be able to do that, but also talk about what strengths creative people have to offer. And these will be useful when you're making your applications, but obviously useful in work later. Then you're going to do the skills profile. Now you might have done this pre-16, but now that you're post-16, you get access to a new quiz. So answer the questions about what you've done in your life, your learning, your work, and for everything you tick, it's going to show you what skills you've developed through that activity. And all the skills are going to be banked for you. So in this example, speaking, for this particular person, they've got 4 examples generated through the quiz, but they've also added some examples of their own. And the way you can do that is add an example. So you'll put in an activity you've done, might be babysitting. Somebody I met was doing some planning application for a stable. It doesn't have to be ground, it could be anything. And then it asks you what skills that gave you, and they'll all be popped into the skills profile here. So you'll see what came from the quiz and what you've added yourself. You can also compare your skills against the job. So if you type in the name of a job, nurse, doctor, plumber. Then you can see the skills that job requires and then your own skills alongside it. When you're ready to apply, you can use My Skills to apply. Say what you're applying for. So again, it might be the nurse. And think about the skills you most need to flag up to be a nurse. It will be different from being a plumber or a doctor, for example. And then for everything you've ticked, you'll get to see all your examples. So that will help you start to think about how you write some evidence for your personal statement or your application. In Explain Your Evidence, which you could see halfway down the bottom screen there are some examples of how you can write your skills up for your personal statement. So the other thing we mentioned in our video is doing stuff. So obviously for you at the moment, the main thing you're doing is your A-levels and BTECs, and obviously that's your number one priority. But you might be doing other things as well. It could be online if we haven't been able to get out and do things this year. But what we say is don't drop all those things because they're going to look really good on your CV and will help to show the difference between you and other people. And then number 3 is knowing all your options, which we're going to just run through now. So you'll probably know already that there are 3 pathways you can choose. The academic pathway, vocational, where you do a course related to a job area, but you might do it in an academic setting. Work-based, where you're being taught in a work situation. So in this country, we have levels of qualifications from level 1 right up to level 8, in fact. So you've already done your GCSEs. So you're either currently on a level 2 or a level 3 course. Most of you, I guess, might be doing A-levels or BTECs, for example. So the next thing you're going to have to choose is whether you're going to level 4. So level 4 is equivalent to the first year of degree course, but you can see in the vocational pathway, that could be the foundation degree, year 1, or higher national certificate. In the work-based route, that could be a higher or degree apprenticeship. And then level 5 is equivalent to the second year of a degree, and then level 6 is when you get your degree. And you can get your degree from all these different pathways. It might take a bit longer through some pathways because they might be part-time learning, part-time working. So this is your pointed decision. You might be moving from level 2 to 3 or 3 to 4. So the different pathways, there's the academic, again, the academic, vocational, or the work-based, as we've mentioned. So what that looks like, an academic degree could be a degree at a university. The academic stroke vocational could be a degree at a college. Work-based would be an apprenticeship or a sponsored degree where an employer sponsors you to do it and pays you to do it, but you work with them in the holidays, for example. So just to explain a few things about them, a degree at a university is usually 3 or 4 years. A degree at a college, to get the foundation degree, will take you 2 years, but you can top it up to a full honours degree in the 3rd year. If you do an apprenticeship, it can take longer because you're working and learning at the same time. So degrees at universities, there's hundreds of different courses, there's combinations, you can put maths with music, there's all sorts of different variations. If you do a degree at a college, it tends to be focused on a vocational area, like business, for example. If you're doing an apprenticeship, you're going to be trained to do a specific job. So it is important you know that is a job area you want to do. To pay for all that, if you're doing an academic course or a vocational course at a university or college, you can apply for a loan for fees and living costs. If you do an apprenticeship, then you will get paid a minimum rate in order to do that, although some employers top up. There are other things you could choose to do, like a gap year. You could do a vocational course at the college, which isn't a degree level. So it might be level 3, for example, or you could look at getting into employment. So just a quiz for you now. Which of these do you need in order to become a nurse? So do you need to have a degree? Do you need to have an apprenticeship, or could you have either? So the answer is that you can become a nurse through either a degree or apprenticeship pathway. Dentist. Do you need a degree, apprenticeship, or either? Well, the answer is a degree. You can only become a dentist if you choose the degree pathway. And the final one, a solicitor. And again, there are multiple routes now. If you do it through the apprenticeship route, it can take longer, but there are apprenticeship routes into being a solicitor or the traditional degree routes as well. So there's lots more things opening up. So how do you find out whether the thing you want to do has an apprenticeship pathway, if there's something of interest to you? Well, on a career pilot in the apprenticeship section, there's an A to Z of the different apprenticeships you could choose from. Now, just bear in mind, even if there is one, you do still have to find one, and that's like finding a job. So you can look at a vacancy website for apprenticeships to see if there is actually a vacancy at the time you want to apply. If you're interested in apprenticeships, they're at these levels. They can go up to level 7, in fact. You can search for them on Career Pilot. We've got an apprenticeship vacancy search in our courses area. You can also go to gov.uk. On gov.uk, you could set up an email alert for a particular apprenticeship you're interested in. You can also, there's another good site called Not Going to University, and you can see there, when I took this off, there were 268 advanced apprenticeships available at that time. There's also another site called Amazing Apprenticeships, and this starts from the employer, what employers are offering. So you can find out what apprenticeships Royal Mail were offering, for example. So that starts by the company rather than the title of a job. So it's always good to search and find out what's available. Even if you're not thinking about doing it right now, it's quite nice to know what's out there, because it can give you ideas about what you might choose later. Just bear in mind, if you want to do an apprenticeship, even if you're doing level 3 at the moment, you might be doing A-levels or BTECs, you might have to go sideways or even sometimes down and then back up, because you need to develop the knowledge that you need to actually be able to do that job. So imagine if you went into hairdressing, you couldn't go in a level 3 if you've never picked up a scissors before. You might have to go down to level 1, 2 and build yourself up. And it can be the same in other vocational areas too, if you haven't got that vocational experience. If you're interested in employer sponsored, then obviously you have to find that opportunity. Here's a few examples. This is one from PricewaterhouseCoopers, and this is another one from which is an engineering scholarship. Now the great things about these is that they're going to pay you to do your degree. But what you have to bear in mind too is that obviously then you're working for them. So when all your other students might be on holiday, you might be working for this particular company. So it give you great experience and it could pay for your degree, but you need to bear that in mind. So I would always say, just check the small print, know what you're committing to, and know that that would fit with what's important to you. So if you're interested in higher education in the college, which would be a level 4, 5, to do a HNC that leads on to a higher national diploma at level 5, or a foundation degree, which takes up to level 5. But then for both of those, you can top up in the 3rd year to get a full degree at level 6. So it's a combination of academic and vocational work as well. And here's an example of the kind of list of subject areas you could do, the vocational areas you could do. If you do a foundation degree, a higher national certificate or diploma at a college, then there can be less fees, lower fees than a university, and can be a lower grade requirement at entry. But a lot of you, I guess, would be thinking about university and trying to decide what course to do. And of course, you've got lots of courses to choose from across lots of different university campuses as well. So what do? Well, we always say, number 1, decide what course you want to do. And then number 2, find the universities that offer that course and compare them and see how each of them fits with the things that are important to you. So in terms of deciding what course to do, as I said before, being driven by your values is a good place to start, or your interests. You can start with a job you want to do and work backwards. So I want to be a doctor, so how do I get there? Or you could do it the other way around. You can stick with the subject you love, and at the end of your degree course, you can think about a job that you'd like to do. A lot of employers are really keen on anybody with any sort of degree, but obviously some areas are more competitive than others. When you know what course you want to do, you can actually compare them. There's lots of tools to help you compare different courses. Just be aware that even if they've got the same name, they might be called maths courses or English or history or whatever, they can be quite different. So do drill down and look at the things you're going to be doing on the course as well. Then you need to think about what you've got to offer in terms of your qualifications. So you'll know that for every qualification, for the different grade of qualification, you get some points, UCAS tariff points they're called. And you get 56 if you get an A star, for example, and 48 for an A. So you need to know what you've got to offer, because that will, when you're comparing courses, then knowing how many points you've got will determine whether you think about putting that in your list of universities you want to try for. Do bear in mind, and your parents will be thinking about this too, the accommodation costs, also, things what other people are saying, how satisfied they are with that particular course. On Career Palette, we have access to all the degree courses as well, so you can search from here. I know there's other sites too, of course, like UCAS. So explore the details. You need to know more than just about the course. You need to know about the local environment, and it's quite useful to know things like what's the average student rent in a particular area. So that's my question to you now. What do you think is the average student rent per week? Have a think about that. Who thinks it's less than £100 a week? Who thinks it's £150? Who thinks it's over £200 a week? Well, the answer is £126 a week. So that's the average. But if you look across the country, it varies quite considerably. So in London, it might be quite a bit more than that. At the moment, I think last year Cardiff was considered to be the cheapest place for student accommodation, but obviously that varies too. The other thing you need to think about in terms of your rent is, what does it include? Does it include your bills and Wi-Fi? So do think about asking all these questions and getting the whole picture before you make your decisions. You might be thinking about work and training after sixth form. So if you are in the job sectors in Career Palette, there's a whole section about getting in and useful links. And in the useful links, there's specific links to the organisations that you need to know more about if you're thinking trying to get a job in that sector. So this is Animal, for example. And then there's links to actual job sites that promote vacancies in that sector. So you might find that useful if you're thinking about going straight into work. So a top tip, if you're thinking about an apprenticeship, which a lot of people are interested in these days, just think about applying for university as well, if you're in two minds about apprenticeship or university, because university applications have to be in January. And some apprenticeship vacancies will come online a bit later. So apply for university, then look for apprenticeships at the same time, but be aware some come online after January for the September period. So if you do get a fantastic apprenticeship, you can always decline your university place, but it's good to have your plan A and plan B. All the things I've talked about are all on Career Palette. If you go to Choices 18, you'll find out about all the things I've mentioned in summary. There's a lot more detail. We also have, you might have heard of MOOCs, which are massive open online courses the universities offer. A lot of them are free, and you can do these to kind of learn more about a subject, but they do look really good in your personal statements. So we'll show you how you can get access to those too. Okay, so it's now time for you to have and explore the things you're particularly interested in. So we want you to start with the subject and think of the subjects you're interested in. Don't forget to tag the things you're interested in. Whenever you see a plus sign on a page, that means you can add it into your career tools to build your report. Add your values, what you're particularly interested in, have a little look where they might lead. Do the skills profile as well. And then in the second section of Career Palette, which is about exploring your options, you can look at Choices 18 or jobs or courses or apprenticeship vacancies. And we're going to be using Career Palette for that. And you've probably got about 25 to 30 minutes. If you're the teacher, you might want to pause at this point and come back to the video later, allowing 5 to 10 minutes for the wrap up. So have a good explore and then we'll come back together. Great. So hopefully as a result of doing that activity, and obviously you might have had an idea before we even did this session, you've got some pathways that you're thinking about. So it might be something through the academic route, like a degree at university or a degree at college related to a vocational area, or an apprenticeship, or maybe you're looking at a sponsored degree through an employer, or maybe you're already thinking about a gap year, or you're thinking about employment. And if you've got time as a teacher, you might want to pause here and just get an idea of what people are interested in. Another thing you could do on Career Pilot is start to put your action plans together. So things you're going to do to take your career forward. So it might be you're going to go on an open day, or you're going to explore Career Pilot further. You can start keeping a record of all the things you're planning to do to take your career forward. The idea of being actively involved in your career journey. If you've been tagging all the things you're interested in by clicking on the cross on the pages, that means you've been building your whole career tools report. And now you can see that in a range of ways through a dashboard. So that's a summary of all the different sections, but also you can see the full report. And after today's session, you go back in and do these activities, and then the report will be quite extensive. You can share that with your teachers or your family as well. And that report will move up every year, and you will get access to Career Pilot until you're 21, so you can keep going back to it if you want to. So just a reminder, today we looked at some of the skills that everybody needs to manage their careers. So it's all been about learning more about your pathways, but thinking about your direction of travel and getting ready for that move into post-18 learning. So just a summary of some of the things we talked about today. Don't forget, you can do things to know yourself, do stuff to build your CV, know all your options, and use all your available supporters, which could be your teachers, it could be family, friends, but also Career Pilot is there as well. So whenever you need to get more information, go back to careerpilot.org.uk. So good luck with all your future plans, and thank you very much for listening.